Welcome to NK Educational Platform. Today we are going to learn about the non-tariff trade barriers. This is our topic, non-tariff trade barriers. The trade barriers other than import quotas, it includes voluntary export restraints, technical, administrative and other regulations, and also international regulations such as international dumping, international carting, subsidies, etc. So, the import quotas, other than import quotas, there are other restrictions like voluntary export restraints, technical, administrative and other regulations, and also international regulations such as carting, dumping, subsidies, etc. We can look at the voluntary trade restraints. Voluntary trade restraints. The voluntary trade restraints. Okay, this refers to a situation. It refers to a situation in which the importing country, faced with excessive competition, from industries of the exporting country, put forward some trade regulation, all-round trade regulations. So this is a situation in which the importing country faced with excessive competition from industries of the exporting country, put forward all-round trade restrictions. This may induce the exporting country to reduce the flow of exports voluntarily. Okay, so the voluntary trade restraints, it refers to a situation in which the importing country faced with excessive competition from industries of the exporting country, they put forward all-round trade restrictions. This may induce the exporting country to reduce the flow of exports. Thus, it helps in reducing the exports. So, this is the voluntary trade restraints. Now, we can explain the effects of voluntary export restraints with the help of a diagram. And you can see in this diagram, here, D is the domestic demand curve. Okay, D is the domestic demand curve. And S1 is the domestic supply curve. So, D is the domestic demand curve. S1 is the domestic supply curve. And you can see S0 is the world supply curve. S0 is the world supply curve at the price OP0. So S0 is the world supply curve at the price OP0. Okay. And OQ1 is the quantity of import. Okay, quantity of import is OQ1. And you can see that when two countries, when the exporting and importing countries enter into a voluntary trade agreement, when the importing and exporting country enter into a voluntary trade agreement for the quantity Q2, Q3, at the quantity of Q2, Q3 import at the price OP1, the world supply shift to S01. Okay, the world supply increase to S01, and the world supply increase to S01. Okay, and the domestic supply curve, it shift to S1 dash. The domestic supply curve shift to S1 dash. So this will happen because with the importing and exporting country enter into a voluntary trade agreement about the quantity of imports of Q2, Q3 at the price OP1, the world supply it increased to S01, and the domestic supply curve shift to S1 dash. In this The net loss of the importing country. The net loss of the importing country is measured by adding A plus B plus C. So the net loss of the importing country is measured by summing here A plus B plus C. And in case of tariff, the area B represents the gain of importing country. In case of tariff, the area B is the net gain of the importing country. And in case of equivalent voluntary export restraints, the equivalent amount is taken away by the foreigners as rent. In case of equivalent voluntary export restraints, the equivalent amount is taken away by the foreigners in the form of rent. This is only because of the rent they are interested in this voluntary export agreement. Foreign suppliers, they enter into such an agreement because they can later supply high cost of luxury items to the importing country and they can increase their rent earnings. In addition, they can also benefit from a protected markets for their goods. So the foreign suppliers, they are likely to enter into such a voluntary trade agreement because they can later supply high cost of luxury items to the importing country and they can increase their rent earnings. Further, they can be assured of a protected markets for their products with this agreement.